Welcome to the Queens on Decks, where I interview female DJs from around the world. I am Michelle Miller, your host of the Royal Queens Rising podcast. We share our inspiring stories and secrets to our success. Hi, welcome to the Royal Queens Rising podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Miller. Today I have Michelle Boulé. Hey girl, how's it going?
Yep. Super. I'm so glad to be here.
Wonderful. I'm going to start by telling you a little bit about Michelle. Michelle is a transformational business and life coach who helps compassionate business owners and creative entrepreneurs all over the world clarify and manifest their visions with more confidence, impact, and alignment towards their truth. Who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want more impact to reach, more people in the world and
sounds pretty good to me.
Help people manifest their visions. I am all about visioning. I love doing visioning meditations. I love setting goals and visioning and feeling into what it would feel like, what I would like, how I would feel after like the experience and all of that. So it's something I've been practicing the last few years that my business coach taught me. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself. You have a pretty amazing background in dance and choreography and healing and somatic healing, which I've experienced a little bit of. I'm still trying to fully understand it. It's a lot of energy work, if I recall, and now life coaching. So how did this all start?
Yeah. So I have been dancing for nearly 40 years of my life. And the thing that happened was I took to it and actually I love rhythm. So I'm actually happy to be talking to an audience of some DJs here and others who tune in. Because that actually became something that I was looking at in terms of how we transform through rhythm. So that's a side note that maybe we can talk about later. But I started dancing when I was young and I took to it and I enjoyed it. And I had an affinity for it. I think the thing that I actually really had an affinity for, which is what I do now, is allowing things to move through me, like allowing there to be a greater energy, a greater power, whatever it is. And as a dancer, I got injured a lot starting in my teens. Had surgery when I was like 12 or 13 on both of my feet. At 16, I was trying to be a ballerina. It was so not the road for me to go down. And of course, I got really injured and had to quit dancing altogether. And then when I was 18 in college, I didn't know there was a dance program at this college. I was looking around madly to figure out what to do with my life because I had been dancing 6 days a week, sometimes like 4 to 6 hours a day after school or on Saturday. And when that stopped, I was like, who am I? What am I here to do? So at the university I was at, there was a really good dance program I had no idea existed there. And I started learning more about how to use my body and work with it in a holistic way. And that just opened the door, like fast forward to every single injury became a way to not only study more about my body, but about consciousness. And times when okay, I'm in my 20s and my back hurts. And I go to see a practitioner I worked with for 20 years. And he's like, okay, we need to work on your anger, your unexpressed anger. So this sort of kept opening the door. I lived in New York for 21 years and had an international dance career there. And that whole time I was kind of geeking out on oh my God, learning this thing about the body because I can't walk because I'm in pain. And that became a mindset and how I looked at, okay, this thing didn't go the way I wanted. How can I look at this differently? What can I learn from this to keep moving forward? And just I'll wrap this up. In 2007, I encountered an energy medicine modality called the body talk system. And I took to that really quickly too. And within less than a year, I was certified in that system because I had an ankle injury, went to see this person. She didn't even touch my ankle. And I walked out and my ankle felt better. And I was like, how did that happen? So that introduced me to working at the consciousness level. I continued dancing. I developed an energy healing practice, seeing hundreds of clients while I was still touring internationally. I kept myself busy. And then that led to coaching for me because I was like, you know what? I'm interested in deep transformation. I want to help other people who are interested in deep transformation. not just people like, God bless everyone for where they are on their path, but people who are like, you know what, I want to do this. I'm serious. Like, I want to change my life. I want to bring in more money. I want to help more people, whatever it is. So I had to start taking myself seriously in that way so I could help other people in the same way.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it always starts with ourselves, and then we get to experience it, experience our own transformation and growth, and then help others do the same thing.
Yes, I totally agree. We're like our best laboratory, like this space here, which sometimes I think people tend to forget and they start looking outside all the time. I was like, wait a second, what's going on
Mhm.
inside of you? That is the best teacher you need right now.
Yeah, and I'm curious to hear a little bit more about the body talk method.
Yeah. So this is yeah. So I started studying it in two. I had this situation, like I said, with my ankle, and I soon after that took one like little training course. And then like I was like, I'm still curious. And I kept going to this practitioner. And then soon after that, I was in the fundamentals training course to become a practitioner. And it wasn't from, I think what's interesting is it wasn't from like this, I need to make a business, I need to get clients, I need to make money. It was like, I'm very curious about this. And even if I don't become a practitioner, I know this is going to change my life. And the huge paradigm shift for me was that everything is consciousness.
Mm,
And when things are not functioning well within us, there's so many different reasons for that, but sometimes that's just because communication systems have broken down. So body talk, that system, I use it kind of as a framework still, but I bring in all the other modalities I've studied too, when I'm working with clients. But it's looking at a couple things. Your body has an innate wisdom that knows how to guide you towards healing. And I actually developed a movement practice that I do in my monthly subscription program called Moving with Innate Wisdom. It's actually something good you can do on the dance floor too.
mm,
If you want to like let yourself like play with that while you're on the dance floor. But usually I do it without music. But just to go back to the innate wisdom, it's what I like to say is it's always guiding you to your highest potential, your fullest expression, and your best health. So, how do we learn how to listen to that? How do we learn
mhm,
how to get out of the way? And in body talk, I learned that there's always a priority for how your body wants to heal. And I use the word heal in its meaning of to become whole. So there's always a priority, and we use muscle testing to figure out what that priority is. So I drop my agenda and I'm like, okay, what's the priority here? And this is something I use I use it occasionally in my coaching. It's not at the forefront because a lot of times I also want to really help a person learn how to think differently so they can go through their own process of reorganizing their mind and awareness and keep growing without me because it's good to let your clients move on and grow too.
yeah.
But I did that. Do you have some more questions about body talk? I kind of
Yeah,
drifted
well,
over there.
like I'm thinking about like when you meditate or you like say speak affirmations or trying to tune into right now with my body, like I'll be honest, I'm having some pains in my stomach today that are different. And when you're just talking about movement, I started moving and I
Yeah.
kind of felt it shifting a little bit, like maybe that's what I need is some like movement.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, like from so many years of studying the body, like multiple decades now, this is what was interesting about body talk. It's like when you say my stomach hurts, like I go to like, oh yeah, what do I know about that? Stomach can be conscious mind, it can be personal power, it can be how you're consciously digesting your life right now.
Mm,
Usually if a person develops an ulcer, it's something they know they're worrying about rather than something that's subconscious.
hmm
So, and with body talk, it's like I wouldn't say, okay, you have an issue with your personal power. Like I would ask, I would use the muscle testing to ask, what is the issue here?
Uh-huh.
So, some of it is intuitive. And I think the thing ultimately in practicing this for so many years and being in this awareness, it teaches a person to turn on that inner compass. So like you start to know, you know what, I gotta move right now. And as an artist, I think I was already doing this because I like to improvise too. It was like I would be walking just somewhere and I might look and know like, oh, that's the moment for the picture, or this is the moment to do the dance video. because I would do that a lot on social media, just set up my camera because it was like a feeling. Here's the moment, do it now. It wasn't like, how can I plot this out and plan? But it was, I think, because I've been practicing this work for such a long time, it's like you're saying yes to knowing. You're saying yes to, you actually do know what's best. And I think a lot of times we're looking for someone else to tell us all the time because we're afraid of what we know.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think for many of us, the last couple years, we got a chance to get to know ourselves and our bodies more because
Mm,
we were doing less doing and more being because we were on lockdown or whatever was happening wherever you live in the world. But, there were times where many people in the world were not allowed to leave their homes
yeah.
and for the first time in their lives, really. And I know I got to know my body more and got to get into my feelings more and more in tuned and more intuitive. And I'm seeing that coming through in my business now, where just deeper connections and relationships and like calling in like more aligned clients,
Nice.
bigger, better opportunities. And I really think it all starts with self. Like you can't do enough personal growth. Like there's no limit. The sky's the limit on personal development and personal growth. And I think, business is personal development. And I think
Oh my God, yes.
through pushing ourselves out of our comfort zones and our businesses and doing the scary things and trying new things and experimenting, because business is also very experimental, um, that is what helps us grow as humans. And so, yeah, I'd love to hear, a little bit from your perspective on how, mindset and personal growth and transformation connects with business.
Yeah, I mean, I love that you said all that you just said because I actually had a client ask this yesterday. She's like, "Well, how do I merge my business growth with all my spiritual or internal work?" And I was like, "Girl, it is the work." Like,
Yeah,
and I, and
exactly.
I I said to her, I was like, growing my business has been some of the deepest personal and spiritual development I've chosen to do, and it's just like not being afraid of who I am, not be afraid of asking for what I want, letting go of caring about what other people think. And I can even hear my old programs that say, no, don't do that. Like we shouldn't like be aware of what everyone else is thinking, or you shouldn't ask for more. So essentially for me, there was a knowing within myself. Like I was living in New York and I had a nice apartment. It was great. I had a great setup, but there was no way I could make enough money to leave that apartment and get anything better. And I was like, okay, I was trying to do the math and like, okay, if I just charge a little bit more here or work a little bit more here. And I was burnt out and I was tired. And I realized I was actually always trying to take care of everyone else first. And so I had a point where I decided to invest more money in that year than I had made from my healing coaching income the year prior. And within 6 months, I was able to multiply that by 350%. Yeah, like I 3.5 times that income. And I was like, what's this? It was a similar thing when I had the ankle injury and I went in and the woman didn't even touch my ankle. And I was like, what's this? And I had to study it. So I just had this desire and I had to get okay with it. Like it's okay to actually want more prosperity and abundance because it's actually how the universe operates. It's like it's always moving into more life. So for me, going down that journey, it surprised me how much it was going to ask me to grow, how much it was going to ask me to, as you said, like step beyond where I'm comfortable. And it's like it's an everyday practice, but I think at the heart of it, a person is learning to accept and trust themselves. And I mean, I think that is actually life changing and it's world changing.
Yeah, that right there, to trust themselves and accept themselves is huge. And that's something, a few years ago, I chose trust as my word, and it was trust myself, trust that I am enough, trust I am where I'm supposed to be, trust that my needs will be provided, like everything, trust, surrendering to trust. And I carry that with me every day. just trusting the process. That was something I learned in my transformational leadership program I went through a couple years ago. Just
Yeah,
trusting 100%, surrender to it.
totally. And we when we get afraid, we often try to control. And
Mm,
so then it's like the trust isn't even there. But it was like, well, wait, but I don't have enough money, or what am I going to do if this person leaves? Or then it's like, as a person who works with my body a lot, it's like I can feel the grip. It's like the contraction and the restriction, and that we think that that's going to, like, we need to go there to solve the problem, but like you said, it's the trust. It's like, okay, let me let go. It's already here. Like,
mhm.
even just like little let go, let go, let go, and then from there we're open to the solutions coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. So did you have a coach right now?
I sure do.
Of course you
I mean,
do.
how many?
That's what I was wondering because I know like as soon as I got my coach, I'm like, I will always have a coach. I'm connected to her forever. I'm now her DJ. So but yeah, I mean if I could afford it right now, I would have every type of coach probably because I think it's so important to have that support. And my coach changed my life, changed my business, gave me God hope, and that painted a picture that anything is really truly possible. And I've done amazing things since having her. And my not only like has my income tripled, doubled, um just yeah, everything, all of it. My mindset, I don't even think I really remember the word mindset before having a coach. So yeah.
Yeah,
What
I do have a coach. I mean, I've worked, and I will work with different people in various capacities, because I'm working with more than two, or I'm working with two people right now. But if I need something extra, um, it's interesting because I think my coach is one of the best in the world. And then it's like, okay, who else can I bring in that is at that level of awareness? And it's funny, some of my colleagues who also coach with my coach, they're like, yeah, it's kind of hard now. It's like you it's like you talk to people and you're like, oh, they don't get it yet. They don't get the laws for expansion, or like the universal laws is something that I've studied a lot with my coach. And I do believe, like, because I've taught for decades also, and I think the best teachers, coaches, teach teach their clients how to think. They like show them the door, and then it's like that person keeps walking through the door. But the learning is going to be for a lifetime, because that's just part of the growth too.
Yeah. Teaching them how to think. I like that.
Yeah.
Because like I now self-coach myself often. I find myself in, going somewhere in my brain that I don't want to be going, or feelings I don't really like, or just just coaching myself through it, like telling myself the self-talk and the self-care tools. Or when I'm starting to feel really stressed out or maybe down, it's like go to more spirituality, like listen to some really uplifting podcasts or book or meditation or whatever. So it's like a constant job almost to just keep our mindsets good, like I don't know the right
Yeah.
word, like and it's a really heavy time in the world. Like there's so much going on. And so one thing that I always remind myself is like the power of my choice of what I choose to think and
Yeah.
what I choose to let into my mind and into my
Yeah, because
thoughts.
it's amazing if you watch, like, I mean, even I've seen this in myself. It's like or if I'll speak about like a client that I might be working with. It's like they're on track, and then all of a sudden it's like they disappear, or they stop moving towards the goal, or the results just totally fall flat. And it's always, this question of, okay, what happened? What got into your mind? What
Yeah.
did you start thinking? And I remember, like, one client, it's like, well, I didn't think it was that good, the thing that she was working on. I was like, hold on. And then what happened? Because we look at the law of cause and effect. Like, someone said something that made her stop her momentum. And in that case, it's like, because it's different for everybody, the things that make us stop, then it's looking at, okay, what's the truth in that? If someone says it's not a great idea that you're working with, it's like, is that really true? Like, is there some good feedback in there that you're working with? Or are you just taking it personally and letting it affect your self-worth? So then when your self-worth and your self-esteem goes down, it's like you're not worthy of the thing that you said you wanted. So then your mind's like, okay, let's follow that train. And then you're stuck again, not enough income, like lonely, whatever it is. But it was because of cause and effect. Something got in there that you started to believe. And I know that we suffer when we believe things that aren't true.
Mm, yeah. Yeah.
And one of the things that we often believe is that we're not lovable or we're not worthy. That's not true for anybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And that's something, coaches are really good at helping with, is calling you out when and digging deeper in and asking you those questions of,
Yeah.
where is this coming from? Because
Or
it's,
yeah, like I don't even know if what it's coming. Well, yeah, what it's coming from. Sometimes I feel like people. This is something that's interesting too that some clients have asked. Like, do we need to know? Do we need to know the why? Or but
yeah.
it's no, we don't always need to know because that can become its own cycle
Oh,
of
yeah.
sabotage.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't like to spin out too hard on the why, but like, where is this coming from? What is this feeling? That's a new one for me. Like, what is this feeling? And can I
Mm,
just like let it pass through? Like you were talking about how letting the
yeah,
energies move through and not
totally.
holding on to them. Yeah. So not so you have a couple coaches, and then do you have other team?
Business team for sure.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because this is something I've been, practicing myself, is you can't grow on your own.
Yes. Yeah. And one thing that, unless you were raised like in an entrepreneurial family or mindset, I think it's a big shift for a person to start their own business and be the person that is be the person that's growing that business, because business is designed to grow, and hopefully a person is always doing it and in an ethical way, in a way that's really aligned, as you read in my bio, with their truth. Because when it's out of alignment with their truth, that's when it's like, oh, it's good, it'll come back. Like you'll figure out like, oh, this doesn't feel good, this is not working, and then you move on from there. So one thing that people often like butt up against is they have to do everything themselves. But the only way we grow is there's a capacity for how much we can do ourselves, and then we have to start leveraging. We have to leverage someone else's wisdom, which is like hiring a coach or a mentor, or like my online business manager is great. My PR team is fantastic. My media team that I just started working with, I'm excited about them. Like we're like we're in the early stages, but it's like I used to stop and say I can't afford it. But then, the question as an entrepreneur is, okay, what can I do to afford this?
Mm,
So it's not, a growth mindset wouldn't say we don't have enough money for this right now. If this is something that's going to actually truly help you grow, the question is, okay, what are you going to do? Where are you going to find the money? And then you get to it. So that's just like, that's one of the places where I see people stop a lot. Sometimes it's even in choosing to work with me. And and it's interesting because our minds are so programmed through our subconscious mind to keep us right where we are.
yeah.
So a person will rationalize all the reasons to not move forward. But if you find someone who's really serious about their growth, they'll latch on to something, like even if it's a little thing of truth. Like the first time I saw my current coach speak, I was like, I have to work with this person. And it was just something in there, that it was some part of me that was looking for more. And I believe, just as in life in general, we're always looking for something that will increase our life. It's people will come to this podcast because they're like, oh, this is giving me something that will help me grow. That's the nature of who we are. So even though, working with that coach, the investment was more than what I had made the previous year in total. And I was like, but I'm going to do it. And then I made much more than that investment. So there's something also in growth where, if you say yes, and then like tomorrow you're saying no, you're not going to get there. So having someone train you how to stay in your yes, because those subconscious paradigms that want to keep you right where you are will jump in fast and strong, and they are tricky. And we will say like, well, it's because of this, or I've had like, even just the other week, my coach was like, Michelle, you're totally distracting yourself. And, and that like sucked a little bit. I mean, a lot of it,
Yeah.
it's like all this work I've been doing, I've been distracting myself. And, my coach just like laid it straight, like, tell me this and this and this, send me an email tomorrow. And that's it.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, okay. And it hurt, like it didn't feel good. But I think also growth is when we can see the truth and not try to run away from it. The truth,
Mhm.
the truth doesn't always feel good, but as the saying goes, it sets us free.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So that's amazing that you have such a big team of support. Like, was it easy for you to like grow a team? Because I know for some people it's not easy to get support or hire or trust other people to, work in your business.
Um, no, it wasn't easy. It was like, like even having, so I first I had my virtual assistant, and even having, she's amazing. And I didn't even realize how I was limiting her through my own fear,
Ooh.
so it's just like, I had to learn how to grow and see this person for who they are, and also guide this person, give them the time to get to know my process. I can't remember the name of the author right now, but there's this book on, as long as a person you hire can do 80% of what you can do, because, a lot of people can be perfectionists and control freaks around it. And I'm not going to pull myself out of that category, but if a person can do at least 80% of what you do so well, that's great.
Yeah.
It's like you can't expect a person to be an exact clone of you. And then, you start to kind of, I had to understand how to hire, what to look for. I had to make plenty of, hires where I was like, oh, that didn't work. But, it's like, oh, okay, now I know more.
Yeah.
So it's just, and again, it's to say, okay, that was the truth. I made a bad hire. I just spent $1,500, and did it really help? It helped because I know it was the wrong hire, and let me figure out why, so I don't do it again.
Yeah.
And even like my online business manager, at first I was, it was like I would judge, or, I was like, but they're not doing it. And it was like, I was setting up all these belief systems that weren't true. Like, Michelle, talking to myself, learn how to have a conversation,
Mhm.
like, maybe I'm getting triggered, and instead of projecting it, like, okay, what's really the truth here? Um, and that team is amazing, but I had my own, thank God they didn't fire me.
Yeah.
I had my own growing pains. And I think it's a really cool thing to watch an entrepreneur go through that too, because ultimately with all of this, we get to learn how personally responsible we are.
Oh yeah.
Like, is there something different that you can do to improve your team or your hiring methods? Or is it also, or I mean, the existing team, or is it really realizing, what, this isn't right? Even though I think this person is amazing, it's not a good fit. Let's let it go. And that's the same for relationships too, right? Like, I
Mhm.
would hear people say, well, I really love this person. I was like, well, that doesn't mean you have to be in a relationship with them. Like,
Yeah.
what are your priorities and what are your agreements? And I think when those priorities and agreements are clear in any relationship, be it work or personal intimate friendships, relationships like that, then we're solid. And
Yeah.
as a person grows, those agreements and priorities shift and change, and how can we communicate about those things, so we're really present with what is, rather than hiding what we want or making assumptions. And yeah, my God, we're going all over the place today in this conversation.
I know. I know. Well, I was thinking about how, we get to learn through our experiences as like hiring help and building team and what we want and we don't want. And, the big question is always, what do you want? And I'm always like, well, how do I know what I want until I've experienced it? And then I know if I want more of that or if I don't want that. And then, I was just thinking about, um, how you and I were talking about fun before we started the interview. And I'm like, okay, when I've had some team members that I could really vibe with, and they're pretty similar to me, and we can laugh and we're flexible and we have fun. It's fun talking with them. And I've had some team members where It just doesn't feel right. Like they don't laugh. Like
Mhm.
I don't know. They're just like it's hard to read them because I have a lot of virtual teams. So
Yeah.
it's like, well, how can we make this fun? How can we make building our teams fun? How can we make our jobs fun? How, all of it.
Yeah, I mean, with what you're saying, I feel like it depends on what the priority is for the organization, right? If fun is like a top priority, then that would be maybe something that you look for in what you're hiring. However, I think the danger in that sometimes is that we might hire someone because we think they're fun, but they do a crap job at what they say they're going to do. Or I'm like, because I've done that. Like I hired this person, we would have great conversations, and I was like, this is totally not delivering the results.
Mm, yeah.
So it's a different thing. And I think sometimes the mistake people can make with business too is that they think it's family,
Yeah.
and but it's not,
Mm,
and a business can fail. And I've heard my coach say this, and he has an amazing organization, and the people are fantastic, and there's long people stay for a long time. People like bring their partners into the organization too. But I've heard him say, something could happen. I'd have to let someone go. It's not personal. It's the function of the business. And
mhm,
hopefully these people now have enough personal responsibility and awareness to know that, and enough empowerment to go find something else.
mhm.
And I think I remember, this was in my 20s before I was really doing this work. I remember seeing a business owner. I was working in this office in New York City, and I could see how stressed out he got about taking care of his employees. And I've actually never even said this out loud, but I'm realizing, oh, he was carrying a burden that was not necessarily his to carry. And it caused so much extra stress rather than, and it can lean into codependent behavior,
Mm,
rather than seeing like, okay, here's the organization, this is what we're here for. Um, Of course, as a leader, it's like, how do we create an environment where people thrive? How can we bring out the best in people? But we're responsible to them, not for them.
mm,
So there's a difference in that. And in organizations that I've seen where, like the one I'm mentioning, my coaches, and there's another organization I'm thinking of where I interviewed the executive director because I was like, wow, these people are happy here. And it was like, and then I realized it's because the mission of that business, it was an arts organization, was like, it was on the refrigerator. I know it was like talked about in meetings, and it was really clear. And so people had agency to join from that place. Like that a person could say, oh, I'm aligned with this vision too. Like, how can I make this better? And the leader saying, okay, like, what skills do you have? And I did this a lot with my virtual assistant, just checking in, like, what is it that really excites you? What do you think you're good at? What you don't like, I'm not going to try to make you good at it. Like,
yeah.
let's find someone else to do it, and let's really build what your capacities and capabilities are.
Yeah, I love that. I think that we all get to focus on what brings us joy in our business and outsource the rest.
Yeah, yeah. When we reach that point,
Yeah.
but I mean, hopefully you do that sooner rather than later.
Exactly. Well, wonderful. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share with us? Do you have any exciting new programs or what's happening next for you in your business?
Well, we are streamlining because as a creative person, I was just like, oh, let me do this, let me do this, let me create this program. And I was like, oh my God, I created so many things. So we're reducing. I would say, if people want to connect to my work, just go to my website, michelleboulé.com, and download. I have a free audio called Realign Towards Your Dreams. And it's a little teaching, it's a little meditation and movement practice, and it's some of the basis of how I work with people. And I've had people do that practice and then write to me and say, this has helped me so much, like more than the therapy I've been doing for a long time. And I realize, like, as someone who's danced for such a long time, for me it is about alignment.
Mhm.
It's like if you're running and your knee is pointing slightly out of alignment, you're going to hurt yourself. So how do we align our bodies? How do we align our minds? How do we align our spirits to serve what we're here to do, who we're here to be? So I have that, and then I have a monthly like membership or subscription program where we do this movement practice. And I coach in that program and I do some of the energy healing work. So that's a great entry place too. I'm going to say a couple more things. I said it was
Good.
simple.
Keep
But yeah,
going.
then I do private coaching. And I just have like one, besides my monthly program, I have one small group advanced coaching program. So I would just say, like, one of my great lessons, another layer of it was, it's not about doing more, it is about doing things in alignment. And I had to get really honest, like, what do I really want here? Not what do I think everyone else wants? So I think that's part of that constant process of being a person, not just a business owner, that a person, a business owner who wants to grow.
Yeah, I love that. I'm feeling that too. The simplify to amplify.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Michelle, for being on the show and everyone
For
for
having me.
tuning in. And be sure to check out her website. And if you like the episode, give it a like, give it a subscribe, share it with your friends. And if you want to be on the show, please reach out to me. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Michelle. Thank you.
Bye. Go to my website to claim your free gift, a digital copy of my best-selling book, How to Start a DJ Business. www.djrundat.com. Follow me on all social media handles: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch at DJ RunDat. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. To learn how you can book me or work with me, go to my website or email me at michelle@djrundat.com.